150 years. This is approximate, so that's roughly 4,000 years. So from Adam and Eve to Jesus Christ was roughly 4,000 years. And Jesus to now is roughly 2,000 years. All right? But remember that Jesus said twice that Adam and Eve were created at the very beginning. Jesus said that Adam and Eve were created at the very beginning of the whole of creation. All right? He said it twice. So, if Adam and Eve were created at the very beginning, and that was 6,000 years ago, guess when the whole of the universe was created? Answer, 6,000 years ago. And that's it. Isn't that simple? A child could understand that. A child could understand that, but trouble is, most people don't understand that. They'd rather go to professors of this, that, and the other, who tell them the universe is 20 billion years ago, but that's covered in our teaching on creation and evolution. If you look at that chart close up now, you'll see that it's a very different timescale. Creationist timescale is 6,000 years ago was the creation of the universe. The evolutionists say there was a big bang and the whole universe arose out of nothing 20 billion years ago. That's absolute rubbish. And that's why I've got a teaching, evolution is impossible. And we're not even going to go there. Right, the Bible clearly states that the universe, life and man were all created 6,000 years ago. The reason I brought this to our attention is because God is a God of sevens. And this is important. God is a God of sevens. God deals with man over a period of 7,000 years. The first 6,000 years we've just talked about, and then there's going to be the millennium, which lasts for 1,000 years, followed by the new heaven and the new earth. So God's dealing with man is 7,000 years. Remember that God initiated a pattern of sevens. A pattern of sevens. There are 7 days in the week, 7 colours in the rainbow, 7 notes in music, 7 letters to 7 churches, 7 lampstands, 7 spirits, 7 seals, 7 trumpets, 7 bowls. And the Bible says that God created the heavens and earth in 6 literal days and rested on the 7th day. So to understand end times, we must understand that God put a design of 7 on the whole of God's dealing with man. All right? He rested on the 7th day. All right? He rested on the 7th day, which of course, it says 1 day is like 1,000 years in Peter. All right? So we're talking about a 7th day, a 7,000 year period, of which the last 1,000 years is the millennium. Here we are in 2 Peter 3:8. It says, 1 day with the Lord is like 1,000 years. All right? So 1 day with the Lord is like 1,000 years. 1 day as is 1,000 years. So God's entirely dealing with man. This dispensation is over how many years? Is it 6,000 years? No. Is it 8,000 years? No. No, it's 7,000 years, of which the last 1,000 years is the millennium. There we go. 7,000 years. The last 1,000 years is millennium, and we're right at the end of 6,000 years from creation right now. Now, what we're going to do now is look at general pointers to this generation right now in September 2009. These are general pointers, and I'm going to give you specific pointers in a little while. All right? These are general pointers. Jesus said in Matthew 24, take heed that nobody deceives you. All right? What is the biggest deception? Well, there are lots of them. One of the biggest deceptions is evolution. It should be called evolution. It's very evil, because the Bible says right at the beginning, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. And here we have, in our universities, they're teaching that the universe arose by chance and man arose from the apes. That's not what it says in Luke 3. It says that Adam was the son of God, not the son of a chimpanzee. All right? So the whole of the Western world's been deceived by this really awful thing called evolution. Now we're going to talk about false prophets, and this is going to upset a few people. I'm sorry about that, but Jesus said many false prophets will rise up and deceive many. Now the fact is there are thousands of millionaire Christian leaders around the world, and if you listen to them carefully, their main business seems to be selling their material and asking for donations of money. I'm not going to go there, but I'm going to point out what Jesus did. Jesus never sold a single book, CD, DVD or video. He never asked for money. He never took up love offerings before, during or after his miracles, his teachings or his parables. He just didn't do it. Jesus did not ask for money. You show me one place in the New Testament where Jesus asked for money. He didn't. Matthew, Mark, Luke and John, they would not have sold their Gospels for money. This was the most important thing in their lives. They're not going to sell the most precious thing on the marketplace. No, this was very precious to them. Paul, by the way, didn't sell his letter to the Romans or his epistle to the Corinthians. He made a living selling tents. That's what his job was. All right? He sold tents for a living. And John didn't sell the book of Revelation either. He was actually in prison, in chains, on the island of Patmos. Now, I'm sorry if I've upset a few people there, but, you know, I've decided to tell the truth. I do upset people, and I'm sorry about that, but I'm here to tell people the truth. And the truth is that I don't think Christians should be making a business out of Christianity. Now we're going to talk about wars, and Jesus said you will hear of wars and rumours of wars, and the fact is there have been more people killed in wars in the last 100 years than all previous centuries combined. Terrorism. We're at, right now in 2009, we're involved in a war against terror. And by the way, it's not going to get better, it's going to get worse. Jesus said in Matthew 24, "For nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. Men's hearts will fail them for fear." The 21st century is characterized by worldwide terrorism. Famines, pestilences and earthquakes. Matthew 24 verse 7 to 7, it says there will be famines, pestilences and earthquakes. Right now, 2/3 of people on this planet don't have enough to eat. I know, because I've been there. I've been to 27 countries, mostly third world, and let me tell you, it's just awful to see the suffering that's happening right now on most of the planet. Pestilences. There are many new plagues this century, such as AIDS and Ebola fever and many others. They're all new. Earthquakes. Just look at this graph. Earthquakes. Can you see it right at the end of that chart on the right? The huge increase of earthquakes since the year 2000. Dramatic increase of earthquakes. If ever is a sign that Jesus is coming back in our generation, it's the earthquakes. Dramatically increase. Gospel to be preached to every nation. Jesus said the gospel of the kingdom will be preached in all the world. They have, in Africa where I go, I've been to a lot of different places in Africa, they have these huge, huge meetings. But you know, wherever you go, you'll find the gospel is being preached. And nowadays, of course, we've got satellite television. That's what Genesis Revelation TV is all about. The gospel goes out all over the world. When you read your evening newspaper or look at the television in the evenings, if you go to the secular television news channels, you're going to read about lawlessness. And Jesus said, and because lawlessness will abound, the love of many will grow cold. There's lots of lawlessness, and the love of many will grow cold. Most churches these days are empty. Say it again, most churches are empty because the love of many will grow cold. Now I'm going to look at specific pointers to our generation, dating from 1948 to now. All right? First of all, satellite TV is available in our generation. It's never been available before. You know, in Revelation 11, it says the whole world will gaze upon the bodies of the two witnesses. All right, in Revelation 11. How's the whole world going to do that? Answer, satellite television. This is the generation that's got satellite television. This is the first generation that's got satellite TV. Now we're going to look about the mark of the beast. Sorry, that's in Revelation 13. And the Antichrist marks everybody, or attempts to mark everybody, with the mark of the beast. Nobody can buy or sell without the mark of the beast. The technology is here now. This is the first generation that's had the technology for the mark of the beast. What about the nuclear bomb? Well, it's a threat to world peace. In fact, it's such a threat that Jesus said in Matthew 24, unless those days were shortened, no flesh would be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days will be shortened. Jesus is saying that this atomic, these days are so evil, and the power of man to destroy himself is so great that unless he came back and the days were shortened, they probably would destroy themselves. This is the generation that has the actual technical ability to wipe themselves out completely. Now we're going to look at the Chinese People's Army, which now exceeds 2 million soldiers.